Most 80s horror movies just feel so alive. They're vibrant, neon-soaked, and buzzing with a manic, grotesque energy. 1985, Re-Animator. 1988, Rejuvenator. But in 1989, we had Regenerator. A film that turns the high-intensity, practical effects aesthetic of 1980s body horror into a slow-paced family drama about desperation and decay. Regenerator, also known as Metamorphosis. It was written and directed by George Eastman. Yes, the same baby-munching George Eastman from Anthropophagus, The Beast, and produced by Film Mirage, the Italian company that gave us video shop favourites like Stage Fright and the legendary Troll 2.
I would suggest examining this project without prejudice.
When most people watch a film like this, they see a failure. Cheap effects, flat lighting, and pacing that crawls. A movie that just didn't have the budget to hang with the classics. It's not a story about a monster, but an essay on decay. What makes a film like this stick with you isn't its plot, but the oppressive, constant feeling that everything in it is already rotting from the inside out. Its weaknesses accidentally created a horror film that feels uniquely abandoned, sick, and brilliant in its misery. Usually in 80s body horror, the transformation of the flesh is a spectacle, a punishing nightmare, grotesquely displayed in a special effects triumph. In movies like The Fly, Metamorphosis is bursting with tragic, philosophical energy. It's a crescendo. In Regenerator, the transformation just feels like a loss. The plot follows Dr. Peter Houseman, a geneticist who injects himself with a serum to stop aging, only to find it awakening dormant genetic information that causes him to regress into a prehistoric creature.
That information is transforming him into what we were. Maybe even before the advent of the mammal.
He doesn't pulsate and ooze into some ultimate life form, or a cool, new mutation. Just a body that's decomposing while it's still alive. The horror isn't what the body is becoming, but its failure to ever become anything at all. Just stuck in a half state, a collapsing form that can't cohere into a new being and can't finish dying. There's no ecstatic moment of a new flesh being born, just a profound sadness. This makes the transformation and monster scenes feel less thrilling and more miserable. Like watching a slow, inevitable and undignified expiration, the horror of a system failing, and maybe that's why Regenerator feels so strange now, because accidentally or not, it captured the mood of an entire genre running out of life. Regenerator arrived right at the awkward end of Italy's horror boom. This was the era after the glory days, after Lucio Fulci pitted zombies against sharks, and Dario Argento turned murder into neon opera. By the late 1980s, Italian horror cinema was running on fumes. The budgets were collapsing, theatres were dying, and the energy that once powered the genre suddenly started feeling sick. And that is directly felt in Regenerator.
You shouldn't have taken the risk. There were too many unknowns.
Willie?
Most 80s horror films, even cheap ones, still feel energetic. There's usually some punk rock momentum holding everything together. Regenerator feels like the carcass of a movie, limping on towards its final breath. The sets are cheap, and the sound design is a little thin. But maybe the single most alienating thing about a movie like Regenerator for a modern viewer, and the key to its unique horror, is the pacing. The film is slow, painfully slow. In a decade of horror defined by breakneck momentum, this film feels permanently frozen. Scenes are held for an uncomfortably long time. Hundreds of shots of faces just staring.
Turn out to be correct.
As
his assistant been questioned. What's his name?
Willie Carson.
The rhythm is lethargic rather than explosive. The pacing doesn't build suspense in the way we expect. It creates a sense of stagnation, of being trapped in a world where time itself creates a vacuum.
Gotcha.
And that becomes the film's entire aesthetic. Question worth asking isn't whether Regenerator is a good horror movie. By most people's measures, it probably isn't. The effects are modest, and the pacing is genuinely punishing. But there's something that makes me like it more than I should. If you stick with it, you will find an odd, unique take on 80s body horror. This is really a drama about a desperate scientist under scrutiny from the board and a lonely woman who just wants to be loved. That happens to also have a monster subplot, and that makes it a far more grounded approach to the genre and makes the end of the film hit way harder than it should. Regenerator has one of the most insane reveals of all time. For the first 90 minutes, Dr. Houseman goes from slightly wrinkly, old, to a little bit lizardy, and you think that's it. Then this happens.
It's horrible!
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right, Sally.
If you haven't seen the film, you may want to click away and save this for a first time watch. The first time I saw this barking monstrosity, it absolutely blew my mind and totally changed my perception of the entire film.
What was it?
A nightmare from the past.
So next time you fancy a cheap Cronenberg knockoff about a woman who shakes brutally injured babysitters and falls in love way too quickly, consider watching Regenerator. Till next time, Crypt Dwellers.